All right, well, we are back at it again to try to find some treasures here at the flea market. Last week wasn't that great. Yesterday wasn't that great. The parking lot is what it is. I think that's what it's going to be like for the rest of the season. I would not expect any kind of miraculous turnaround this year. So let's get parked and see what we can find. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I wanted this magazine and the Ringling Brothers souvenir magazine and the Dracula magazine behind it last week for $10, but the guy was stuck at $15. So I saw them again and said, hey, they're still here. I'll give you $10 for them. He said, all right. So now these here, you don't have to adjust your camera. I just wanted to show you what the table looked like. Let me tell you more about them. All right, I'll show you the comics I pulled off that table in a moment, but I did pick up this Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus magazine because I really love that it prominently shows Gunther Gable-Williams right here. He was just the face of Barnum and Bailey Circus for so long, and the magazine here is in great condition. Plus, it has the original poster inside of here. So it was a good pickup, especially with them going out of business. It's not worth a ton. I mean, less than $20, but still, I like it as a piece to have in my reselling business, especially since I'm always looking for other circus type of material. So I'll just hang on to this one, and maybe I'll combine it with something else down the road. Now I'm going to pull out those comic books. So one of the advantages of knowing a particular niche well is that you could start sifting through items that are on a table like that without even having to pick up your phone and check comps. So you can see here, this says Ghost in the Shell. A lot of people would pass this up because they would not realize that this is a popular anime series. I've done very well selling it before. You can see here it says issue 1 of 8. This is a complete set. I should at least be able to get $20 to $25 out of this, which is why I was comfortable spending $23 for the entire lot. Clive Barker, I've done well selling Clive Barker comics. Of course, Mad magazines that I just pick up and add into the lots. I just stuck with the ones that were 1970s or earlier. So this one's 1973, got a 1988. Kung Fu magazine, so this is cool, 1989. Any 80s Kung Fu I've always told you about. Love anything with like monsters on the cover. Creepy, one of the words that's operative for this year on my channel. This is in great shape, so I love that one. So just flip through that for you a bit here. So that's a cool one. Then we've got the Women of Marvel, so if anyone likes that, this is a commemorative magazine about that. Then there's some doubles for Ghost in the Shell, so that was cool. Got a bunch of those. Some additional anime comics and magazines were thrown in as well to this. So I've got these that I could lot together, and then I've got a nice old Incredible Hulk right here, and another one over here as well. So overall, a good deal. He wanted $25 for everything. I offered $20. Sat down with him in the back of his pickup truck for a while, and we just shot the breeze for a little bit. We met at $23, and I made a new friend. So I've dealt with him before, but now we're on a first name basis. So I'm looking forward to making good deals with him in the future. And let's move on to the rest of the flea market. Now, both of those deals were from two guys that actually split two tables, one across from the other. So, that's really just from the first table. So, we got a while to go here. No, this isn't the naughty item that I found. I actually was interested in what was behind her, so just move her to the side. And there was this really cool wooden vintage checkerboard with all these different animals on them, and I thought it was really neat. For only $5, I was not going to pass this up. There were some little white marks on there that I was able to easily wipe off there on the front. And, it's a long, thin item. Now, some people will pass this up because they think it's going to be too expensive to ship. But remember, long, thin, and light items are not expensive to ship. Even with priority mail, they'll ship for under $10 usually. So that stuff will wipe off with a wet cloth. That just goes to show you that even with a dry finger, if it's, smearing off, then a wet cloth is going to take that mostly off. And this is just to show you I got a longer box so I could carry longer items like this more easily around with me. So now, these are the naughty items, courtesy of my friend L, who I have talked about on a prior video. A lot of you asked in the chat for him to come on a live show interview with me. So let me tell you a little bit about these comic magazines. It's called Sex to Sexty. They were made from 1964 to 1983. As you can see there, I showed some ones with a copyright date of 1969. I'm going to probably lose half of my subscribers by doing this part of the video, but there's no nudity here, so I'm still, making sure I'm not breaking any kind of rules like that here. And so, but I want to show you some of the things that I will pick up from time to time. This was a sexually oriented humor magazine, and the art was done by Lowell Davis. The content was really a mixture of, little stories, funny story, anecdotes, limericks, poetry, all sorts of different cartoons. Yes, the inside of it does show nudity, not the front covers. Sometimes on the back covers, you might see some nudity on there, but I'm not going to show any of that here in the video. So there were some other famous artists that contributed to the magazine series. Bill Ward, Bill Wenzel are examples of that. So the company that made this, now this is a larger version of the magazine here to the right, and then there were the other ones, the smaller ones to the left. But they published novelty records, paperback books, which also had the Sex to Sexty title. Now, comps for it are all over the board. That's my favorite cover, by the way. I love mermaid stuff. And that one looks like Mrs. Primetime. I can't show her on the channel, but there you go. Mrs. Primetime in the house. But the cartoon art, there's cartoon art, by the way, for Sex to Sexty that you could just sell a single cartoon, like original art for it. $100 a piece you could get. Sometimes 70 to 100 would be like a fair range. But for the actual comics, comps are kind of all over the board. Like, you could find like a lot of 25 of them that'll sell for $100 plus shipping, or a lot of 10, sometimes depending on the issues, could sell for $60. Individually seems to be the best way to sell them. It's just going to take longer, but individual issues you could sell for 10 to $20 a piece. So the question was, how much was L going to sell these to me for? And he knows his stuff, and so he's always been a nice guy to me. And so he asked me to give him an offer. I knew he was not going to throw out the number first, so I wanted to be fair to him, but also leave a little bit of meat on the bone. So I offered $50 to him, and he's such a nice guy. He said, they're yours for $20. All right, well, this is a pretty big box, and I'm happy about all of the different comics and magazines we were able to score today. This is the overall haul. The checkerboard is obviously elsewhere right now, but not bad. Wow, I mean, what a great guy. I've just got to thank L once again for the amazing deal. I mean, I did so in person, obviously. I know he watches the channel, so I just want to thank him here right on YouTube and put a little pressure, a little nice pressure on him again to come on the channel for an interview. I said before, but he restructured his whole business in response to the pandemic, and he's been doing very well with that. He has a niche area that he's very knowledgeable in. I mean, deeply knowledgeable in, and that could also help a lot of people out. Now, I told him I owed him one, and I don't know how I'm exactly going to repay him, but one idea I have is that, if I see things for sale in his niche area, which I don't really deal with that much, I'm going to try to make an effort to, pass some of those leads on to him. I mean, I've done some of that before, but, definitely going to be making sure that I'm paying extra attention for that, for him. And, that's how these things work sometimes, people like to repay favors that you give somebody. And so, he's not asking for that, but I'd love to do that for him. So anyway, speaking of the pandemic, like I said, coming in here, I think this is just going to be what it is for the rest of the year at the flea market. I can't count on scores and scores of tables being out for me to pick stuff from. It's going to be based on me making deals with specific people for the most part that I have relationships with. That's how every single deal that I made here at the flea market today went down. Every person I bought from, not that it was a ton of people, but even the guy with the checkerboard, same thing. He's a comic dealer, but he happened to have that from his shop. So, you know, that's just how it works. And including, by the way, you have to be forward thinking. Even if the people don't have the stuff, they didn't bring it this week, make sure you put a bug in their ear to bring it next week. For example, you remember the guy I talked about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago who I made a deal with all those John Lennon books and the Beatles books and magazines? Remember I told you that he said that he was looking for someone to buy his ephemera and paper items? So I said to him today, I said, hey, you have any of that stuff with you? He's like, oh, no. He's like, I got it in my storage unit. I said, all right, bring it next week. He's like, all right, fist bump. Now, will he bring it next week? I don't know, but at least I put the bug in his ear. Then there's another guy who I've done very well with in the past, doing comic book deals with, and he has not been here yet this year. Today was the first day. I was actually going to text him. It was weird. The moment after I thought, let me text him because I don't see him, there he is right in front of me. And I'm like, hey, I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, you got any more comic books? He's like, yeah. He goes, I didn't bring them with me. He's like, I'm actually looking at him right now. I'm like, I said, well, listen, what are you doing with him? He's like, oh, I'm just taking them and I'm just, just storing them, not selling them. I'm like, all right, well, listen, I'll buy them from you. I'll come out to your place again like I did last time. He's like, all right. I'm like, either bring it next week or send me a message. And he said, okay, so will he follow through with that next week and bring the comics with him or call me with them? Who knows? But at least you're increasing the chances that will happen when you do that sort of thing. If you do it enough, these things pay off, so you've got to play the numbers. So that's it for today. I'm not going outsourcing anywhere else. Like I said, I've got a lot of projects at PTHQ, so I've got to get back there, and I'll see what I could do and give you an update later on today. All right, so basically what I've done since I came back from the flea market is I ate the other half of the gobbler sub that I showed in yesterday's video. Now, I could have eaten that whole thing in one sitting, but I decided to leave the other half for lunchtime today because I knew in advance that I was going to be hungry when I came back from the flea market. And so I had that ready, just heated up, and it was delicious, just like it looked. Now, Mary Trossel commented in yesterday's video that that sub was the best thing that I picked up all day, which was kind of a jokey reference to, some of the creepy places that I wound up in yesterday. Two of the places I didn't even get anything, and the hoarder house, I did pick up a few things. Now, one of the things that I picked up, though, were those 3 garden gnomes. Those are already sold. I want to thank Sylvia Young, a longtime subscriber to the channel, big supporter of the channel, for picking those up for $30, $29.99. Thank you, Sylvia. I know they are going to find a great place in your home with the other gnomes that you have. And I've just basically been doing a lot of shipping and packing. There's been a bunch of sales today. The best sale of the day, and I'll talk about it more in a future video, but was of a CGC graded comic book magazine, King of the Monsters from 1977. I picked it up. I pay up a premium for these types of books because these ones that I'm picking up, again, I buy them graded, and I look for ones that are the single highest graded ever put out by the company. So no one else could have a higher grade than the one that I have. So I obviously got to pay up for that. I paid $131 for the magazine on July 4th, got it a few days later, and wound up selling it today for $350. So that's a good return on investment, even when you take into account shipping and fees and all that sort of thing. So I'm very happy with that. I have an entire video dedicated to doing exactly that. Just look on my channel. In fact, you know what? I'll actually add it to at the very end here. It's about going and reselling what I call exclusive. So go check that out if you're interested. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a comment or a question down below. Always happy to answer that. And I'm sure some people are going to ask where you could sell adult-related items. Yes, it's going to be limited when you get into eBay managed payments, at least temporarily, because they're not letting you put anything into adult categories. For those who don't know, there is an everything else / adult category where you could put these types of items. Now, there's other people who put them on the main part of the site under like humor and satire. Technically, you're not really supposed to do that. There is a section, though, on eBay where you could put nudes, and it's permitted, which is in the art section, but you have to make sure you go in the description area, not the description where you write your description, but there's like a pull-down menu, and you have to select nudes, and then it's actually okay. I actually have some things in that area as well, and then I have other things in the adult section. So anyway, just want to pass it on because I know there'll be some questions. But I'm going to wrap up this video and see you at the next one, everyone. Take care. Hey, Daisy. Should we do the who's that trick on you? Should we see how you react when I say who's that? We'll see. I didn't say it in the voice I'm supposed to say it in. Then it makes you run, right? Ready? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Oh, you're getting nervous. Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Should we go look? Who's that? Do I have to say a name with it? Where's mommy? Where's mommy? Do you see mommy anywhere? That doesn't work. What if I say your boyfriend's name? What if I say your boyfriend's name? Where's Gizmo? Where's Gizmo? Is that Gizmo?